If you like Alien vs. Predator ripoffs, have I got a story for you. Today we're going to explore Kha'Zix, Voidreaver. Welcome to Runeterra Tourist. I'm Patrick. I don't know anything about these people, so let's learn about them together. Going into this video, I didn't really know anything about Kha'Zix other than he looked like a gnarly insect-looking thing with these weird hands, limbs, stuff like that. But I guess he was reasonably liked by the community. He wasn't played as often, but this mobile jungle assassin that seemed to reward you for picking off other legends one by one. But he didn't seem to be a fan favorite per se, just because there didn't seem to be that many marquee skins for him like other legends have. So I was kind of curious about what his narrative is. And when you look into it, there really isn't much. He doesn't have a lot on his own necessarily, more than he is just a foil to Rengar for the most part. But we'll get into all of that in a second. For the most part, looking at him from a Riftbound perspective, it'll be interesting to see what he does in the game, given that he's got this XP component that he and only two other legends have. So how does his lore, or what little of it there is, how does that translate into Riftbound, given all of the stuff that we know about him from League of Legends? From what little we know of Kha'Zix, he was born from the Void, created by the Watchers, who are these cosmic entities in the Void that resent existence of reality and want to destroy it. And Kha'Zix seemed to be the perfect vessel for this. He initially started out fragile and mindless, but he would survive by consuming these other weaker creatures. Except then his hunger grew so much because he was unable to really evolve into something stronger, and so he developed this hunger to hunt the strongest prey that he could find, because only the strong prey would mean a meaningful evolution. Through this process, he ended up developing this genuine intelligence, his ability to plan and strategize, and I guess an evolving sense of humor. Supposedly, dad jokes are like the pinnacle of cosmic entity and comedy. There's some reference to him saying, "I tried to eat an optimist once, but I couldn't keep him down," which just is, I mean, it's an actual quote apparently. He just developed a sense of humor through dad jokes. Fascinating. But the name itself comes from an old mortal tongue used by the Killash tribe, which means you face yourself, which is an interesting concept in his game design too. This idea that fighting Kha'Zix means you're fighting something that will ultimately be whatever it needs to become to defeat you. Honestly, that's probably more interesting than any other lore that we could be given. I mean, frankly, his entire game design and DNA is literally built off of Alien vs. Predator. The Riot creators even said so themselves. The wiki acknowledges that openly. The Hunt is On, which is the short story that he appears in, is Kha'Zix versus Rengar fighting it, except it's almost like explicitly Alien versus Predator. I mean, Rengar like dousing himself in this, I don't know, oil or whatever. It was really interesting read. But also, oddly enough, it's from the perspective of Rengar, not Kha'Zix. And that's on Kha'Zix's own bio page. There's a lot of that where he just appears in other people's lore. So most of the stuff that we know of him is through the eyes of another champion or legend unit. Touching on his rivalry with Rengar for a moment, and I'll eventually get into a video about Rengar in a future date here, but Rengar is this Killash Vastayan. It's a tribal hunter culture, and Rengar was exiled from his tribe and sent to bring back Kha'Zix's head as the only way to regain his honor. He apparently like accumulates all of these trophies just to signify his kills, and even in the game I think there's a skin about it even. So Rengar found Kha'Zix mid-meal feasting on jungle raptors, and while he was eating, Kha'Zix grew these limbs that turned into wings, like right before the fight actually happened. So Rengar ambushed him, and for the first time in Kha'Zix's existence, he was kind of caught off guard. His blood was spilled, or whatever fluid you want to consider it. I don't know, he's an insect-ish thing, whatever. But anyway, they fought apparently from sunset to sunrise, and the fight ended with a stalemate, like both near death, both kind of retreating but not wanting to give up the fight, and eventually Kha'Zix just sliced out Rengar's eye in the process, devouring it and lustfully enjoying it as it went down. Pretty graphic and descriptive narrative there, but you get the idea. But the interesting note is that Kha'Zix relished that fight with Rengar, something that he looked forward to, and the fact that he absorbed this element of something that he felt could match him in combat, and so that thrilled him more than any other hunt. I mean, even his own bio says someday Kha'Zix will feast on Rengar, full stop. That's it. That's how his bio ends. So much of Kha'Zix's story is wrapped up in Rengar's. So when we get to Rengar's story down the line, you'll probably be hearing this name a little bit more. One thing I do find interesting, though, is that there is going to be a future set called Vendetta, which is about rivalries, and there's a couple of them already listed off as some of the legends. And interestingly enough, Rengar and Kha'Zix aren't a part of that. They're actually a part of this Unleashed release. Not sure if that has anything to do with the jungle aspect that is heavily flavored into this set, but it was an interesting note given that this is one of those more notorious rivalries of League of Legends. There are, from what I understand, a couple of special unlocks that you could get with quests based off of the number of times they face off each other if they're on opposite teams. So it seems like that was such an important part with Riot that they created those kind of quests and everything, and yet they're left out of Vendetta. It was an interesting choice. So considering what little we're given about his lore, we kind of have to rely on his League of Legends abilities in order to determine the flavor and how they're translated over into Riftbound. So we'll see if they match up, and I'm guessing that with the evolution aspect of Kha'Zix, it's going to be more of this XP being highly emphasized. The fact that you can spend it to enhance your abilities, things of that nature. So we're going to see if they really align with what he was in League of Legends. So starting with his legend ability, Kha'Zix Voidreaver, you can see that whenever you win a combat, gain 1 XP, and then you can spend an XP and exhaust the legend card to buff a unit, and you can spend 2 XP and exhaust the legend to move an exhausted friendly unit from a battlefield to its base. So here we are spending the XP to do things, but it's not really like evolving Kha'Zix itself. I mean, I guess the evolving could be the buff, which gives it 1 strength, and the ability that Kha'Zix has in the game of being able to move quickly around the battlefield. Its little teleportation capabilities kind of is emulated with that 2 XP capability, but other than that, I feel like this could be copy and pasted onto any legend, really. I mean, the retreat to recover mechanic of going back from a battlefield to a base is something, I suppose, but otherwise it seems like it's not as flavorful. Moving to his signature spell, Void Assault, this is also something in League of Legends, what his ultimate is called. And in Riftbound, it's move a friendly unit and then move an enemy unit, and if they both move to a battlefield you don't control, you're the attacker. So here it kind of emulates the ability of Kha'Zix being able to instantly appear, the movement of invisibility and speed for repositioning on the battlefield and ambushing your target. So it kind of hits there. I think a lot of this abilities of creating and controlling the fight is what Kha'Zix is really about, and so this is probably the best fit that we've got from his League of Legends days to the card game. Going to his purple champion unit, Kha'Zix Mutating Horror, he's given the ambush ability, which you can play as a reaction to a battlefield where you have units, and he has the ability, when I attack or defend, if an enemy unit is alone here, give me +2 might this turn and gain 2 XP. So there's the ambush ability literally on the card this time, and I feel like this is also in line with his League of Legends abilities, where my understanding is there is a particular skin that even highlights more predominantly if a legend is left alone for you to target. So I think this really adds that flavor into Kha'Zix abilities. So it's kind of a small detail, but I like that it's focused on that isolation trigger. So I think this is also a pretty well done hit by Riot. Going to the orange champion unit, Kha'Zix Evolving Hunter. This has the hunt ability where when I conquer or hold, gain 1 XP, and when I attack, you may spend 3 XP to deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit here. So XP being the ability to spend it and for added features is kind of an interesting idea, but here it's just dealing damage, and so it doesn't really feel like it models to anything from League of Legends. I guess there's the ability Taste Their Fear, which allows this massive burst of damage in League of Legends, and I guess this is the closest that we have to emulating that, but it feels like it does significantly more damage than what the might is of the unit. It's probably more difficult for Riot to have perfectly aligned the League of Legends ability here without, I don't know, doing Vi kind of numbers of excessive damage. I mean, there is punch first in orange, so I guess we could be doing something like that, but it really didn't have any clean mechanic to port over that ability into Riftbound. So pretty difficult. I mean, I guess the hunt thing is as close as we get, where, I mean, it literally is focusing on conquering and attacking your opponent. So we do have that capability, but it's a pretty notable gap. But I'll give a little bit of leeway to Riot because it's probably more difficult to port that mechanism over into a card game. So really, there were some interesting design mechanisms with the Riftbound cards, although I would argue nothing too exciting per se. Not at this time, not until I get to play with it, of course. But even though there's the initial cool design element of the creature itself, and if you're a big fan of Alien vs. Predator, I guess this is one of your ways to kind of get that into your League of Legends playing. But I feel like there really wasn't much given to us about Kha'Zix outside of other legends. So that aspect makes it seem like he was just kind of a throwaway character, somebody to just be a foil for somebody they actually really did care about, like Rengar. But I will say the fight with Rengar and that short story itself is actually pretty compelling. I like the writing for it. I think it actually captures a lot of action and really gives you this idea of the thrill of the hunt that both characters really relish. So it'd be interesting to look into that, how they're intertwined with their stories and their fates, so to speak. As for the cards, I kind of noted that it's a little bit difficult for League of Legends abilities to really translate over into Riftbound, and Riot, I guess, kind of did their best, but there weren't a lot of things other than Void Assault that really made me feel like this is the embodiment of that character in League of Legends. I think also, given the fact that there's not a lot of lore to go off of, it's really hard to create this dynamic and this personal bond with the legend. So as far as me playing as this character, I mean, I'll probably give it a try at a pre-Rift event if I pull it, but other than that, it's not somebody I'm necessarily looking forward to. Maybe as I learn more about Rengar, I'll be a little bit more excited. So given that there's not that much lore about Kha'Zix, I'm pretty sure I missed something. I genuinely feel like I didn't get the full embodiment of this character, so there might be more to him that I just am not aware of. So let me know in the comments if you know of anything, or if you have any experiences playing as Kha'Zix other than seeing the cinematics that his League of Legends character appeared in like numerous, like so many cinematics. But other than that, let me know in the comments of anything that you're looking forward to playing with Kha'Zix in Riftbound, or any of your experiences with them in League of Legends. And if you like the fact that I'm going through all of these different legends, be sure to subscribe because I'll be dropping these roughly every week, especially leading up to the pre-Rift events where I'm trying to get all of these legends out of the way here for you. So if that sounds like your thing, look forward to more of these videos. But in the meantime, thanks for watching.